So today we're going to be replacing the axle check straps on an MGB. So these check straps rotting out and breaking like this is actually a fairly common thing on MGBs. You know, rubber can only last so many years, and then it's got nylon webbing through it that then breaks, and then it's time to replace them. So now the quality of the replacement ones had gotten so bad a few years back that I could literally break the nylon webbing by pulling on them myself in my hands without even hooked up with a car. So I have not replaced them with any rubber ones since. I always use the nylon ones. In the long run, they're not that much more money, and they will last you a lot longer. So we'll get at replacing these. So before you even think about putting a wrench to anything up here, you want to get in here and wire brush the ends of the threads here really well and soak it down with some sort of a penetrating oil. Now, the longer ahead you can do it, the better off you are. Like if you do it the night before or whatever, the longer you can let that sit, the better you are. These nuts can get frozen on here, and you can break the end of this off. And if you do, it can be fixed. It's just kind of a pain in the butt, takes some time, and involves welding. So if you're not able to do that, you definitely want to be careful with it. So what I like to do, I love these ratchet wrenches, is you want to really feel it first. And feel like if it really wants to come apart or not. If it doesn't want, like that one doesn't want to come apart, don't force it. Get a nut splitter and split the nut off there. So now you may not like the idea of actually going out and buying another tool. Let me tell you, a nut splitter is cheaper than fixing that if you break it off. You know, Moss does have this whole stud piece available to be able to cut off and re-weld this on, but it's about the same price as buying a nut splitter. So this is a nut splitter here. So it uses a bolt here to compress the nut and a hardened die here to split it. You get up in there, and you get it lined up to where you're on some of the flats, and just boom, there you go. You hear that snap? It's split. Oops, wrong. Of course, it'll be hard to get a wrench on there now because it's split. But see how it now comes off? Nice and easy. Of course, it's better to get a adjustable wrench for this part here, because then you can adjust it to be slightly larger than the 9/16 that it takes to take this off. Or you can actually get a metric wrench just slightly larger, I think a 15 millimeter. Let me go grab one of those real quick. And then you can get it on there and just I end up splitting most of them off on these things very much more often than I ever actually get these things off without splitting them. Now, one small dilemma with getting this bolt out is, now this is just a bolt with a sleeve on it, but you can't actually get a wrench on this side because this side is recessed. So you need to get a socket in there, and this is 1/2 inch, by the way. That's why I like the ratcheting wrenches. And that's pretty much all there is to getting this out of here. Now this sleeve that's in here, you need that. So you need to take that out of here. Sometimes you can just punch them out with a punch, or a lot of times just take a knife or something and cut it through here. Usually that's what I end up doing because they're usually stuck in there. We just cut across here with a knife, peel that open to get that out. All right, so I cut through that with a knife, and then we just kind of open that up and get that out. Then you need to put that in the loop on one end of this, which I find these to be quite tight. What I end up usually doing, I take a little punch, or little drift punch here, and I slide that through here. And that helps kind of open that up just a little bit and make it more round so that slides in. And then you have to do the same thing on the bottom to get it over the stud on the run housing. Now you will have to jack up the axle to get this to compress to reduce the distance across here. And you can generally only take it so far, and then the axle, the car starts lifting up. And there's two ways you can do it. You can either put this in here, then work this over, or you can work this over first, and then put this up in here. And that depends partly on just how new your springs are, how you have the car supported, because sometimes you can't get them to compress to give you this much slop to put them back together. Then always replace the nut with a brand new nut, obviously, since you broke the old one off. And that's really all there is to it. Just repeat to the other side, and that's the MGB check straps.